I'm Christy Pelzel, Senior International Correspondent for Today News Africa. Joining me is Dr. Agnes Kalibata, UN Secretary General's Special Envoy to the 2021 Food Systems Summit. Dr. Kalibata is also the president of the Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa. Thank you for joining me all the way from Rwanda.
Thank you for having me.
So there's been a bit of a development last week at President Biden's Leaders Summit on Climate. The Agricultural Innovation Mission for Climate, or what they're calling AIM for Climate, was announced along with the news that the UN Food Systems Summit would be a launching point for this mission, with the goal of working collaboratively with other countries to make investment in agriculture, research and development and innovation. What do you think about the news, and what would you say about a major shift in the effort the US is making, not just involvement with UN programs, but climate and agricultural innovation efforts?
So first of all, that's excellent news. That's unbelievable that a major economy like the US is recognizing the importance of agriculture to the whole food system summit, the centrality of agriculture to the food system summit. Number one, it's the importance of agriculture to the economy of the US means that what the US is doing is prepared to lead by example, which is extremely important as well. Number two, recognizing that agriculture is so central to the economies of so many other countries, but most importantly, that this being a people's summit, and that there are so many people that are caught in agriculture for whom leading with technology, leading with agriculture is going to make a huge difference. So I welcome the effort, I welcome the announcement, I welcome the leadership that is being put here to recognize the world's poorest that will benefit from technology, but also to lead by example in using technology, especially as we go forward into the Food Systems Summit, in using technology to look at the possible transitions that our food system will need to be able to move from what it is today to a food system that will work for the future. So I really welcome the effort and the announcement.
Yeah, exciting news. So tell me, what makes you passionate about food systems? Did you grow up in a farming family, or was there a moment in your education that you just saw yourself as a leader in this field?
So food system to me is about people. It's about recognizing that food is our culture. It's about recognizing that for many people, food is an economy. It pays for school fees for children. It pays for the food they can't grow at home. It pays for healthcare. For them, it's a business. And I'm talking about people I've grown up knowing, smallholder farmers who look at food as an economy. So for these people, I came to appreciate very early on that if we make food systems function, if we make, first of all, agriculture function for these people, we are making their lives function, but also we are building economies from the bottom up.
The UN Food Systems Summit is a gathering of stakeholders, scientists, farmers, consumers, producers, policy, environmental activists, so many people that are coming together to fix and improve the world's food systems. What else does the Food Systems Summit represent?
So the Food Systems Summit represents everything from how we produce food, using the land, to how food comes to our tables. In Europe, they are calling it farm to fork strategy. They've designed a farm to fork strategy that recognizes everything from production to eating the food. It represents the wishes and hopes and dreams of producers, but also it represents the behavior of consumers. The amount of food that we waste is part of our food system. The choices we make when you choose to eat an avocado that has a certain shape, as I've said many times, it also means you've chosen to let so much more avocados go to waste. So it represents the thinking and the behavior of consumers. It represents the environment that we use, recognizing fully well that now our food system is part of contributing to carbon, about 30%. And we don't want that because that is already impacting. It has a reverse impact on people that are using food systems. Smallholder producers can't produce the way they want to produce because of climate change. But it also represents the hopes and dreams of people, young people that are looking for jobs, women that work in food systems, except those food systems are not giving them what they are looking for. It also represents the fact that we need to build resilience, right? To ensure that our food systems cannot just deliver for us who are here today, but they are able to deliver for the future of our children. Make choices 3 times a day that impact our food system. Every time you go to eat, you actually ask yourself as an individual whether the choices you're making are right for our food system. So it's really about each and every one of us.
That's so true. That's so true. It's those 3 times, that decision 3 times a day.
Yeah.
Many of the things you mentioned, though, are things that we historically work on as a global community for years and years and years. But this year is a little bit different because we've had a global pandemic. How is that impacting the summit?
The global pandemic has injected some wind in our sail, as you might say, some urgency. People recognize that part of the reason we have a pandemic is because people are stressed or stretched enough to reach into areas they shouldn't be reaching in. The ability of the pandemic to spread as fast as it has to do with how our world is shaped and how interconnected the whole world is. Now, it's recognizing that interconnectedness. We are not just interconnected because zoonotic diseases are moving from animals to people and from person to person. We're interconnected because our needs have become that interconnected. Our food system is served by an interconnected trade environment that we have built over years. Our food system is connected by technologies that we share from one place to another. Our food system is connected by cultures that have evolved over years and that we share from one community to another.
There are 5 priority areas this year at this food summit that have been selected. One is access to safe and nutritious food for all, sustainable consumption patterns, nature positive production, equitable livelihoods, resilience to vulnerabilities, shocks, and stress. How did the summit leaders come up with those 5 tracks?
So thank you so much for that question. We looked at primarily the fact that we need to come through on SDGs as a world. We have made a promise to the people of the world that we will come through on SDGs. Each country of the world has signed up to this. That was the idea behind it. Let's look at 5 objectives that will hit the critical milestones for each of these things. Primarily people, this is a people's summit, a solution summit as well, but also this is a summit that must address prosperity against challenges like COVID-19, against challenges like climate change.
Some other challenges are conflict. Food insecurity, it's always been an issue, but there's one thing dependent on climate change or droughts or flooding and another dependent on conflict, because these issues require a different type of solution. On March 26th, the UN Food Summit published a press release that mentioned human rights as it relates to access to food. How will the summit also work to continue to resolve human-made crises which disrupt food systems and lead to acute levels of hunger?
That is a real challenge that we have to address within the Food System Summit, but also mostly outside the Food System Summit. We are having what we are calling regional dialogues and global dialogues, where we are looking at some of the challenges of our lifetime and how we would address them from a food systems perspective. So in those thematic areas, we bring people around the table to discuss how we might address this conflict, these challenges. One of the areas we have highlighted is the question of conflict, because we do recognize that probably 30 to 40% of the people that are hungry because of conflict related challenges, and we have to resolve that. Most important thing is how we meet with the rest of the UN system and member states that are involved and think about longer term solutions to this problem and reducing impact on people when it comes to things of conflict. First of all, reducing conflict in the first place, number one. Number two, reducing the impact on people when it comes to hunger and food security.
That's great that you're bringing so many people together. And I have an idea of what the answer to this next question might be, but finally, what would have to happen at the summit this year for you to categorize it as a big success?
So the summit success will come from several places. The biggest success would have to be around how we as individuals view our place in the food system. We have designed this summit as a people's summit. This is about people in the first place. Food is about who we are. Food is about our cultures. Food is about the choices we make. So making this about people and making this a people's summit is something we were very intentional about. So if I can influence your choices, if I can influence how you think about food, but also how you think about the ecosystem under which food is produced, that would be success number one. So wake up every day, make your choices, and make sure you're not just making choices for you, you're making choices for the environment as well. So that's number one. Number two, the second success would be around the solutions that will impact people at scale. And these will come from member states and private sector, the people that really do big investments and that impact lots of people. We want them to step forward with bold action for areas where we are lagging behind. We need to see areas move forward too. These areas move forward too. And being able to hear bold decisions around policies, political frameworks, investments that will make a difference in people's lives and will make a difference for the planet is going to be huge for us. The last, but most critical, and the most critical probably, is the fact that we only have 10 years to come through on SDGs. We've already made a promise to people. As the world, we can do this.
So let me just confirm, the pre-summit is hosted by Rome, Italy, and it's happening in July. And the summit, actual summit, is hosted in New York in September. Is that right?
Yes.
And are these going to be virtual or in person?
So our hope was that we, to the extent possible, we make them hybrid, meaning we bring a good number of people together. The beauty of Zoom is it brings in people everywhere in the world in ways you would never have been able to, right? But then the disadvantage is we don't get the feel of each other. So, and don't get the corridor conversations that sometimes transform our world. So we'll try to do both to the extent possible, but it will depend on where we are at with everything we are doing against COVID.
Okay, so we'll stay tuned for that to find out what happens. But thank you so much for your time today and for leading this global effort to improve food systems.
Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you, and please do get out there and put the message out there. It's about people and it's about the decisions we make every day. We can actually transform our world. It's not complicated if we start with what each one of us can do.